Everyone, my name is Katrina, and I am here with Remo for our masterclass today. And apparently, I have a co-host. So this is Luna. I think she's seeing something on the floor. If you guys can all hear me, if you guys could please, just over in the right-hand bottom corner, we have some little Remoji reactions, like a thumbs up or a clap. If you guys can hear me, if you could hit one of those buttons, awesome, perfect, thank you. Down below me is our audience view. So if you want to see that, there it's displayed. If you do not want to see it, if you want to see more of our boxes for our presentation, right down below is a icon that has a big screen. If you click on that, that will hide down our audience view. But if you'd like to keep it up so we can see who all's here and say hi. Over to the right-hand side of your screen is our chat and our Q&A. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in our Q&A in the chat. If you can say hello, if you can say where you're from, so that way we can figure out where everyone is around the world. I know we have hashtag Team Canada represented today. So let's get started. Welcome to our masterclass. We talked yesterday in a program that we do called Success Labs about how to remove international boundaries and time zone restrictions from your events. So if you're interested in that, that'll be in the community under our Success Labs. And furthering that discussion, we wanted to talk about happy hours, team building events, and things that are, a way to bring back to your team together who may not be in your time zone. Or if you have a conference that spans time zones, it may not be 5 o'clock wherever you guys are. So we wanted to show you a couple of different ideas about what you could do as you head into your virtual event seasons, with either some networking for your conferences, with some great team building ideas. And to help me with that today is going to be Kimberly Beaune with Creative Twist. She is an event storyteller, and she is one of our very active members here in the community with the Remo Revolution. And I would like to bring her up to the stage now to say hello. So if everyone can give her a big round of applause. Hi, Kimberly. If you could tell us a little bit about who you are, give us a little introduction to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Kimberly Beaune, CMP, CSCP. I have a event planning and design firm called Creative Twist, and we've been all Remo all the time since about a year now, doing virtual events, and as well, we're just getting back into live events. But we've really been enjoying reimagining events for virtual, reimagining client journeys and experiences for virtual. And I'm happy to be here to share some of our insights for, how to create engagement and fun and those virtual happy hours without the booze.
And this is really important, especially as people look at the future of virtual events, because a lot of people want to do hybrid events, or they want to figure out how they can connect people who may be in a physical space location with people who may not be. And there's a couple really good ways to do that. But again, the one thing that you always have to remember when you're planning a virtual event is that, I had my cat behind me, I have my kid in the room next door, I have my coffee pot, a couple things over. So keeping the reason why I, as a guest, will want to come into these events instead of, turning on my TV whenever I have a break during the conference, or instead of making it a mandatory fun thing for all my employees, really making it a fun thing that draws people in. So that's where we wanted to talk about. So I know that it's titled Non-Boozy Alternatives, but in speaking with Kimberly, you have done a few happy hours with cocktails and mixologists, but you have a couple of really good best practices for what your mixologist or what you can do.
Absolutely. So we've done a number of mixology classes where we've actually reached out to the attendees and sent them out the mixers and the ingredients in advance. And typically what we do is we ask them whether or not they prefer alcoholic or non-alcoholic. It's just a checkbox that they can choose, and then if they want non-alcoholic, we send them. There's some great new products like Seedlip and non-alcoholic spirits that have that essence, but they're not alcoholic, which is great. And then when we have our classes, the mixologist uses the non-alcoholic product on screen. So we're not showing a bottle of gin, we're showing a bottle of Seedlip and their version of it. And certainly they'll answer questions about the real spirit, but and and make mention of that in the recipes, but we don't put it front and center, because certainly there are a lot of people who want to still partake in the activity, but not feel pressured to drink. And it might be 8 o'clock in the morning where they are.
Exactly. It might be 8 o'clock, and they may be tuning in from the office where
exactly.
someone might be looking a little sideways to say it's 8 o'clock. We have something we need to talk about with HR potentially.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So that's a good consideration as well with location, time zones. Yeah. So that's why a lot of these things, we're going to talk about the how-tos later on in this session, but we just want to get your ideas. We want to give you guys some ideas to get the brain kind of going. And then the whole genesis of this masterclass came through a conversation I had with Kimberly, where she had a really, really awesome session revolving charcuterie. And charcuterie is, I think charcuterie, I see this joke all the time that charcuterie is like me, I'm a Gen X kid and we grew up on Lunchables. So charcuterie is our thing because that's what we did in the lunchroom is like, oh, you have a nut. Oh, you have a little bologna. Oh, you have a cracker. And so now we have charcuterie culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, this was an event that we did with a law firm, and we've done it twice now because it was so fantastic. And so the law firm had sent out charcuterie kits to all of the attendees. It had the pre-sliced meats, and then it had some cheeses, it had some fruits, and what we did is we worked with a charcuterie chef. She's written this fabulous book, and Ashley, if you can at some point, I should have prepared and gotten her link, but if you could find her link and drop it in the chat, that would be great. So she has this fabulous cookbook about how to put together charcuterie trays and really the artistic, ways to present the food. And so as she was demonstrating that on camera, everybody was either just eating the meat and cheeses, or they were assembling the charcuterie. We sent everybody the cheese board for them to display it on, and people were posting pictures in the chat of their charcuterie boards and commenting back and forth on how wonderful it was. And it was just a really unique experience, and it was fabulous. We actually had everybody stay the entire time of that event. That we had virtually no drop off because it was just so interesting, and learning tricks about how to make a salami rose by taking a champagne flute and layering the salami in the top of the champagne flute and then flipping it over, and you've got a beautiful salami rose. What a great thing. I never would have thought about it, but I definitely will be doing that.
Yeah. And I think these are great ideas, especially, as we're looking forward, depending on, for anyone watching the replay when you're looking about this, but these are some really great ideas for things come, November, December, when folks are looking at something outside of the box to have for your holiday parties, even because there is still going to be a shift, especially for folks who are geographically dispersed. And this is a great way that you can then say to your attendees, do you know why you want to come? because you are going to knock your Christmas party, or you're going to knock your Hanukkah party, or you're going to knock whatever you have to go to, especially if you have to bring, if it's what do they call it? Not a not a buffet, but
Potluck.
a potluck. Yeah. So you want to be outstanding in your potluck. Here, we're going to show you. Or do you want to like upscale your Super Bowl party? Here. So giving somebody the teaser of, if you come and stay, you're going to learn something really awesome that then you can take out and impress your friends with.
Yeah,
That is a huge what's in it for me. That will keep
absolutely.
your folks there. And then sometimes we just want to have just kind of fun, and it sounds like you had the right host who knew how to keep the audience engaged and also teach really well. So do you think that's important, is whenever you're choosing the topic, also kind of finding a really dynamic and engaging presenter?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody who has a good setup, they have to have good lighting, good camera, good microphone. Ideally, they have either somebody working with them monitoring Q&A, or they are able to chat, with Q&A and engage, see the chat and the questions that are coming. It's important that they have a decent background, so it looks professional. It looks like it's well thought out and well put together. Ashley's just dropped in the chat the link to Lisa Dawn Bolton, who is the chef that we worked with for this, and her cookbook as well. And this is just an example of one of the charcuterie boards that a guest had done and posted the picture of, proudly posting what they created. So, it's really about having somebody who's excited about what they're doing, who engages, and that's why we always opt for live in the moment versus pre-recorded when we can, because you get that authentic engagement with the audience.
And one thing that people may wonder is like, okay, so how do I find somebody who, so I have an entire list. So for example, like I'm going to a marketplace of all these people that say that they do virtual events, and they'll be a good host. So one of the things that I would look for is to see what their social media presence looks like, not necessarily influencer followers, but if they have a YouTube channel, if they broadcast on YouTube, it's pretty apparent that they may have a lot of these tech things that Kimberly is talking about building in. But you know what? Say I have my best friend. My best friend works at one of the local bars here, and they do this, and she knows charcuterie, she knows mixology, she knows sleight of hand magic. I have this really great friend, and they can do this thing. A great way that you as a host can look at some of this production value is watch some of these YouTube videos and kind of see what the backgrounds look like, look and see what the lighting looks like. And that's a way to add a little bit of production value. So one thing that I can talk about really quickly is that a couple weeks ago here at Remo, one of the events that we did as a non-boozy hour alternative was a cooking demonstration. So we had Walk with Chef Tack. And when I say that we have friends and resources in high places, Chef Tack is actually our founder Hoyan's father. So, and he has a YouTube channel and a built-in YouTube. So he did an entire walk cooking demonstration, and he did it in his kitchen, and it was really, really engaging and interesting. And because he's used to doing this on YouTube, he had a setup already, and because he's used to doing this for YouTube, he knew how to interact with the camera. So this goes into another good point of when you're doing these events, making sure that you're scheduling rehearsal time with that individual to make sure that they understand the platform that you're using, understand how things are going to be working. We can do tech checks, but also so that you can see like how everything's going to look in advance and see like, okay, we maybe need to go get a ring light. We maybe need to do this.
Yeah.
And I want to show you a little bit behind the scenes. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. So I'm going to share the screen so you're not going to hear any of the video itself. I have to go down to my files and find. Sorry, I have way too many of my things open right now, and I seem to have lost. Sorry, I'm just jumping real
So
quick. Kim, if you want to jump in for 1 second.
well, Katrina, while you're doing that, one other activity that we did, which was super fun. So sometimes, you don't have the budget or the time or the resources to send out boxes in advance. So we actually worked with an Italian chef for an event, and we did an activity where we had people set up mise en place, which is celery, onions, and carrots. So we had everybody set them in advance, a list of, bring a cutting board, some knives, celery, onions, carrots, and we're going to do this uh, knife skills class. And so we had the chef there showing how to chop the mise en place, and then we actually went back to conversation mode and had the chef jump around tables, and everybody was showing while they were chopping what they were doing, and he was actually judging the skills, the knife skills, and then we went back to presentation mode, and he called people up on stage to show their mise en place, and then he shared a fabulous recipe that they could use that mise en place for to make some Italian sauces. It was a really fun event. Everybody was laughing. My office smelled like onions for a week. It was great.
And I love that, because that's such a great way to keep people engaged. So instead of a lot of the folks I hear, they're zoomed out. They're
Yeah.
they're done with it, because Zoom is very passive, and it's just, okay, I'm just going to sit here and stare for a couple minutes. And this is something that you can give if you have a platform like Remo where you're doing this, is that you can have the interactive ability of okay, I'm going to teach you how to do this. We're going to go down into conversation mode. I'm going to jump around and see what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've learned that a lot of people love is competition.
Yes.
So if you can feed them and bait them a little bit with, okay, so we're going to have a competition. We're going to take this skill and we're going to go down and see who does it best. People really love and are driven by rewards and competition, and generally competition leads to rewards. So thank you for that, Kimberly, and covering while I was finding my actual link that had disappeared on me. So I'm going to show you just the setup, the test of what I'm talking about you can do something very, very simple with just one camera focused on the chef and what they're doing. But I also kind of want to show you what it looks like when you have a couple different cameras and a switcher. So what Chef Tack did is he actually had 4 cameras, and he had a switcher box external to his computer. And just like in a TV studio where you're watching your local news, you have somebody in the control room going, take camera 2, take camera 1, take camera 3, take camera 2. They were able to do that, and it was basically just he and his wife that were running the back end of things. So I'm just going to share a quick of through his check. So we had one on the sink, and this is going to turn over in just 1 second. We had one on his prep station. He had one on him where he was going to be able to do the demonstration, and he had one close up that just went by really fastly. It's going to go through a little quicker now, of inside the bowl, so that you can get a close up of what he's doing. So again, this is I'm going to back it up here for just, you can see the camera kind of poking in right there, but I'm going to back it up right here for 1 second and hit pause. And you can see just way off in this upper left-hand corner, this is where the control station is. So the cameras are kind of feeding into this one laptop with the switcher, and there's just, you press a button and it goes. Again, I just want to show you kind of a little bit more high-end YouTube kind of production value experience that 2 people can run. It's just you have to have the equipment for it. You can get away with just one camera and having your chef, like, take his camera and pan it down to what he's doing and pan it back up. It's again, we just want to kind of show you the possibilities. So the next I'm going to show you is a actual clip from inside. So you can see this in practical motion. So you have, it kind of went a little bit quiet. Is everybody still with me? Can I get a thumbs up if I'm still? Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm like, it just went really, really quiet. So I'm going to play a clip. If you can see, he's already started the walk. So it's on the walk. I'm going to mute this for me. You guys can't hear it. But so you can see the camera takes and just like that added level of dynamic that it brings. So he's presenting, he's talking through the presentation. He's going to then cut to the actual walk itself. So this way, it adds just another level of theatricality. It adds just another level of production value. He's talking through these things. So these are, again, some of the things that they had picture in picture. I mean, I was sitting there going, holy heck, this is a really, this is why you want to team with a YouTuber, because they have all of these things. So again, when you're looking at your budget, when you're looking at just a whole list of people that you, these are some of the questions that you can ask. Okay, what kind of cameras do you have? What kind of setup do you have? What can we do? And then again, as you're doing your planning, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. As you're doing your planning, you know your budget, you know your time, you know your audience, you know how maybe big and production-y you want to go or how simplified you can make it. So we just want to give you things to think about, give you ideas to kind of like, oh, okay, we can do that. We can do that. Pam says that we had our chef place a cell phone holder to the hood of her stove for the overhead view. Yes, 100%. I have seen that as well. There is a video that we have inside the community that we play here a lot where they hosted a band concert as their, and I'm not talking like band like your little kid in a little like toot recorder nightmare. I'm talking about like an actual professional on stage band. And what they did is that they had the main camera on the band itself, but each one of the band members had their phones placed looking at them. And so their phones were able to be looped in, and the cutter was able to give you which view you wanted of just the drummer because you like drummers, or the bass player because you like the bass player, or you want to see a mix of them. So again, the production value that you can choose with these things can be, you know, as grand as you'd like them, or you can keep them as simple as you like them. So Kimberly, before we move on to the next section, first I want to see if there's any questions so far. If anybody has questions, you can either raise your hand to come up. So there's a little raise hand feature down at the bottom of your screen, or you can ask it in the Q&A. You can put it into the chat because the chat's not flowing as well that I'm going to lose it. If there's no questions so far about things we talked about, can we talk a little bit about some of the logistics? So I heard you say things like we sent out the recipes in advance. So if it's something with a recipe, here's a decision point that you have to make as a host, knowing what your budget is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to send out the recipe in advance and have everyone go do the shopping on their own and bring it back? But I also heard you talk about how you box things up and send it out. Can you talk a little bit about the coordination logistics that you, as an event host, put into consideration?
Yes, absolutely. Well, you know, there are a variety of different ways that you can do this. It really depends on where your attendees are. If they're local, then you can find one supplier to provide, you know, work with the caterer. They've got the infrastructure to put multiple things together and deliver things. Or you can, if your group is further afield, then you might work with a restaurant group that has multiple franchises in different cities, and see if they can work with you to create your packages so that they're consistent for your deliveries. So with the charcuterie, this was a fairly local event. It happened all around the GTA and Hamilton region of Ontario. So they worked with a local caterer there that delivered everything within that region. And then so they delivered everything the night before in the boxes so that it was there in the morning. We did the charcuterie session over lunch hour, so that worked out really well. We did another event for a group in Vancouver, and they actually had it was a law firm. They had lawyers throughout Vancouver, and then they also had some in Calgary and some in Winnipeg. So we had to find suppliers in each of those cities to provide the mixology. So what we did is we had one mixologist create the list of ingredients. They did the recipe cards that were sent out. We had to send them all in advance to the locations that were further afield. They also sent them beach bags and giveaways and things like that. So there's a lot of layers. I would say it's best to work with a planner at that point in time, unless you are a planner yourselves. But if you're not a planner, work with somebody who has that infrastructure, who has those connections. I'm very involved with the International Live Events Association, and that's like a Rolodex of vendors across the country and really around the world. Very strong in Canada and the United States, who you can draw on for their resources.
And I love that resources, that the farther afield you get, the more you can rely on folks who are local. Because the other great thing is, if you, especially here in the United States, and I'm not sure how it is in other parts of the world, but each one of our states has different laws regarding, again, if we're talking non-boozy alcohol or non-boozy happy hours, because each one of our states here is with its own liquor laws. Like, there are some states where you cannot have liquor sent through the mail and delivered through the mail. So being able to work with somebody who is more in that generalized region, those are things that they're going to also know, is like, what is that state? What is that county? What, I mean, it even can go down to counties, and some of those restrictions there. So those folks will know those things. So when we talk about coordination even farther afield, I heard you talk about working worldwide. So another one of the best practices that I want to talk about is a event that I know there were some folks from Lunch Pool. Sarah, I think you might be from Lunch Pool. That Lunch Pool did with us back in May, where we had a happy hour gathering. We actually had a masterclass on how to coordinate worldwide logistical food delivery. And again, it may not be 5 o'clock wherever you are. So what they were able to coordinate was a pizza. So can you guys raise your hand? I know that there's some folks who are in here. If you guys can either raise your hand or hit the clap button. If you were in our happy hour for lunch, where everybody got their pizza delivered at the same time, it was phenomenal. So I'm going to share my screen again and give you guys a warning so you'll know I'm going to stop talking in a half a second. This is an organization called Pizza Time. That's how they work, but they can do drinks. They can do coffees. They can do what we did was the pizza. And the pizza experience. So here's everybody with their pizzas being delivered at the same time worldwide. And we had folks who were in like remote places in the UK. We had folks who were, unfortunately, there was only one area where they were not able to deliver to, and that is because there was some geopolitical strife that was happening in that area. And they let us know, like, hey, we're coming, we're not gonna be able to get our pizza, but here is why. So it was an area of the world that was having a lot of geopolitical issues at the time. But I also want to share the link to that. So this is the affiliate link from Lunch Pool. So this is another way of coordinating logistics. And there are a couple other companies out there that will help coordinate logistics if you want to have everything being delivered. And it was all delivered pretty much within the set time frame of our event happening.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was that precise of how it was coordinated and with the logistics. And um, there's a couple questions, Kimberly. So what are some of the considerations when you're asking your client who says they want to do something like this? What are some of the questions that you're asking the client, or some of the information that you need to gather from them?
Absolutely. Well, first off, you want to understand who the audience is and what is going to engage them, what is going to, um, you know, give them reason to arrive and stay engaged. Then you want to understand what the goal is. Is the goal to just entertain? Is the goal to create a shared experience? Is the goal to just do messaging? So you really have to understand what the goal is for your client, and then curate that experience around the goal. Then we have to consider time. How much time do they have to complete the experience? And is it a lunch hour, so they've got 45 minutes start to finish, or is it a happy hour that starts at 6 and could go till the diehards are gone? So you have to understand the time frame that you're working with. And then the biggest question is budget. Are you hiring a professional mixologist or a chef, or are you going into studio and setting it up with a live stream? Are you doing it in the moment in just using webcams? Do you have the budget to provide the event boxes and have them all delivered? Or are you just doing a recipe card? And if you are, then how are you getting that information out to them? How far in advance? What are your reminders? Okay, it's one thing if you send them a box that they get the night before or the afternoon before, and they just have to open it and be there. It's another thing if they have to go shopping, and if they have to get their cutting board, and they have to do all of this. How are you reminding them that they need to be prepared? Because if you do end up going back to the tables and they're sitting there and only half the people are participating and the other half are feeling, oh, I didn't quite realize we were going to be chopping things and having this competition. So you just need to be able to work out that timing and then communicate clearly to the attendees, so they understand, what the plan is and how much fun it's going to be.
Yeah. I love that again. And Andy's talking about budget is so very key. More engagement definitely requires budget and much more organization.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the timing. The thing is that especially if you are organizing this for a conference, and the conference is long, and the conference is multi-days, you're really, really, really going to have to give the audience a reason to want to stick around whenever, especially if it is virtual like this, when they have so many immediate distractions that
Mm-hmm.
they can prioritize and be pulled by. So that's one of the hardest things, I think, from any event planner standpoint, from any event management standpoint, is that you have to give such a strong what's in it for me, what am I going to get out of it, what is going to be the benefit to me personally, so I can prioritize my time, energy, and effort onto this, as opposed to, again, my kid who's in the next room, my TV with the game on in front of me, my neighbor who's having a party, a happy hour party right next door. And again, especially if it's a team building happy hour for people from work, these are people that I see every single day. So maybe do I want to spend my off time when I can have my own time with these people who I see interact? So it's also I think it's a creative challenge, which is why you call yourself an event storyteller. So you need to tell the story, correct? It's a creative challenge for you as the organizer to work with that host, or if you are the host, to deliver that what's in it for me. So what are some of the things that you've found that have worked for that?
I think, well, first and foremost, it's, and not to slag Zoom, but to let people know that it maybe is not a Zoom experience, that there's something that's a little bit more unique, and different with whatever platform you're using. I'm a bit biased about Remo, but so let them know that it's going to be a different experience. Give them time to network. Give them time to actually meet and connect with other attendees. But then be mindful of the value of their time. So if you say that the doors open, your virtual doors open at 6 o'clock and you're starting the presentation at 6:15, start the presentation at 6:15, because it's respectful for your attendees. Be organized. Make sure that you've got your ducks in a row, and host the event. So have somebody guiding the experience, and really think about what your attendee experience is, what their journey through the whole process is, so that they feel supported, they feel engaged and welcomed at every step of the way. And then if you can, throw in some aha moments, throw in some fun, get your Spotify going and play some music in the background, or have some gamification, if you're doing a competition, or have prizes for the best looking charcuterie board, or the best. We did one event where we had a mixologist, but the focus really was on garnishes. So we sent a bunch of fruits and things like that to all the attendees, and we weren't judging the drinks, we were judging the garnishes that they created. And we actually sent mini watermelons to everybody, and one of the challenges was best use of the mini watermelon. And we actually had one guy, and I don't know if Ashley can find the picture without me pre-warning her, but we had one guy create a shark out of the watermelon, and with a straw through the shark's mouth, and you could drink. And people were talking about that for days, about how creative this guy was, in his staff kitchen at the law firm, cutting up this watermelon and creating this experience. And that's a shared experience that the whole team is going to have. And they're going to be talking about it, every time they see him. So it's about creating opportunity for shared experience. And it's what we love live events for. And it's what we have to find, that thread of shared experience in virtual.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, and I guarantee you this is like a little side added thing that you can also talk if you're the host, or if you're hosting for a conference. It's like, I bet some really good photographs came out of that, and I guarantee you that shark was probably featured on a social media somewhere.
Yes.
Which also gets into the whole, make sure that you tell people when things are being recorded, whenever they're coming in, and photographs are taken. So that's the blanket disclaimer. But I love that idea. So at this point, we're going to switch a little bit to Q&A. We're going to open up the floor to anybody who has a question for us. If you have an idea that you've thought of, but you want to kind of workshop through a little bit, we're going to open the floor to everybody here. So does anybody have any questions for us? Anything that you've been thinking about trying, anything that you'd like us to clarify from what we've been discussing? Go ahead. Don't be shy. Go ahead and raise your hand, or go ahead and ask a question. I did see one question come through earlier. It was about, you talked about like gamification. Can you explain gamification just a little bit? We didn't want to get into gamification because that's a whole other category. of these types of happy hours? Can you talk a little bit about what you mean when you say gamification?
Well, I use that term pretty broadly. So in that circumstance, it was competition. It was that there's a prize for the best use of something, the best creative. So you have to be engaged, and leaning into the activity to benefit and win the prize at the end. Oh, there's the shark. Ashley just posted the the picture of the shark that this person had done. It was fantastic.
That was in the
So
office. They did that in the office
yeah.
with their office. Now, let me go. This shark is fabulous. Was this an event where they had to go buy their own things, or was it just
we
like found things
sent
around the office, or you sent that to them?
we sent the all the fruits to
Okay.
them, but then that person used their own like thermal coffee mug as the base, and I think he actually was using
I'm
like
gonna share my
knives
screen
and
really
things that they
quickly.
found in the kitchen.
I'm going to share my screen really quickly so that people who are watching this that can't see the chat, this is the shark. So this is the shark. It looks a little bit more like Feed Me Seymour
Yeah,
from Little Shop of Horrors, but
yeah.
that is amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. It was pretty impressive. He got lots of kudos from the whole team. It was actually an intern at the law firm, so it was a great way to make himself known to the rest of the law firm because of that. So that was super fun for him.
I would like to follow up with him to see if he got a job after his internship with that law firm.
Yeah, and one guy took dill from his garden and made some cool shapes and things with the dill, and so he got extra points for that. It's just it was just fun, and actually they were building them in conversation mode around the tables, so there was lots of fun. Like we were popping in between the tables, and they were really enjoying the experience of seeing what each other's doing and egging each other on around the tables. Another piece for gamification is we have whiteboards. You can load the whiteboards with things like at Christmas time we did gingerbread house and cookie decorating. So we created templates of gingerbread houses and cookies, and then you could use the whiteboard tools to decorate and then share the pictures in the chat. That was super fun. We've done trivia challenges where you're working as a team to answer trivia questions, and there's prizes based on how well your table does. There's so many things that you can do that are fun. We did beach themed trivia in our beach theme, resort floor plan, and with beach themed cocktails, and you can create a whole. That's what I love about Remo is you can create a whole experience from the Hawaiian shirt on your MC to the environment that you're in, to the music that's playing when people enter, to the activities that they do. You can just, as close as you can get to live in virtual, if you're just creative, if you just, get past the Zoom and into something that's a little bit more customizable and creative.
Yeah. And so I just put a link into the marketplace if you want a place to start. So marketplace.remo.co is our marketplace where you can find people who can do custom floor plans to create that unique environment for you. You can find with the other services link that I just put in, we have magicians, illusionists. We have people who will do treasure hunts for you, or they'll do escape rooms, or they have live actors coming in and doing murder mysteries and other sort of role play things. So again, just to recap some of the things that we've talked about, it all goes back to one basic fundamental. Who is your audience? What is the what's in it for me for that audience? What's
Mhm.
the takeaway you want them to have? And then ancillary, what's the budget? What is your time to coordinate logistics? And once you have those things set, it's just a really wonderful blank space that you can create magical experiences to bring
Mhm.
people together. And I'm going to leave us with this. If there's any other questions, please jump in. From my standpoint, I'm going to leave it with this. I those of you guys who know, I lived in Moscow, Russia for 5 years, and they had this really beautiful phrase where if you ask, "Do you know this person?" A response back would be, "No, I have never drank with them." And the idea, well, they drink a lot, but the idea is that 50% they drink a lot. The idea is that it's where we get to know people on a more human level is when we have engagement like this, when there's
Yeah.
no pressure, when it's just fun, when it's social. We get to find out that our intern has mad artistic skills and can make a shark out of a watermelon and some pineapple. You really get to see hidden things. You get to see who's very competitive. I'm not going to call out Amy, who I know is in here, for being competitive whenever we have our internal Remo competitions, and I beat her in trivia. I'm not going to say there's like some competitive natures that you see coming out. I love you, Amy. But you really get to know people at a human level, whether they are strangers
Yeah.
at a conference or whether they are Bob from accounting who you kind of see and pass by the hall every single day. But this is just another way to get connected.
Yeah.
So
It's
done. I'm
all
gonna
about shared experience. It's all about shared experience.
I thank you, Kimberly, so much. If we can give Kimberly a big round of applause, thank you so much. I'm going to ask one more time. Are there any other questions that you guys have for us? Because if not, we did promise a free gift for everybody who came. So Kimberly has, oh, we do have something that popped up in the Q&A. How do you put music in Remo? So that is a really good question. And there are a couple ways to do it depending on where you would like to have that music be played. So obviously, if you are in presentation mode, you will need to share a video unless you have an external mixer. So with Remo, if you share your screen, just like I did earlier, you didn't hear any sound from the videos because the shared screen is back-ended a little bit different way than the share video. So if I want sound to come through it, I need to have some external audio cables to do that. But if I play through a video, that's one way. When you're in
The other
conversation,
thing you
oh,
can
go ahead.
do, I was just going to say, in presentation mode, um, which is just simple, is as long as you have a Bluetooth speaker or something close to your
Yes.
microphone, you
Mhm.
can just play it through your microphone in the moment. So for the beach party that we did, the MCs started every presentation mode with them boogieing to some music on screen, and they just played it through a Bluetooth speaker in their microphone.
Mhm.
So it was super, super simple and easy. But for more pro music,
Yeah.
you want to use this
Yeah.
system.
And thank you for that, because I keep going like, I'm going to default to the high tech, but I've actually even had to do that myself. So we had a speaker come in who needed to do a quick presentation on a really quick meeting that I had, and he had to fly north to a funeral. Unfortunately, last minute, forgot his laptop. So he called in and I had my headphone up to my phone speaker, and he gave his presentation that way. So we do adapt. But
Yes.
when you're in conversation mode, there's a few things. You can run it through the billboard on autoplay. You can run it through your banner as a stream again, and either people can click on autoplay or they can have it, but they need to have that banner opened up. You can have it set at the tables, again with an embedded video link on autoplay. So we can answer a couple more of those questions once we go down into conversation mode, because we're going to
Yeah.
have networking for like the next 15 minutes or so.
And Andy's posted a few links as well
Yes,
to
yeah.
the chat.
Thank you so much, Andy. So Andy has posted a few different ways to be able to do that as well. A lot of times, but you just want to make sure that the music is cleared because you may have some issues with clearance, especially if it's coming through something like Twitch or coming through something like YouTube where it could be flagged. So you just want to be mindful of that as well. But Kimberly, I am going to let you talk now about your free gift that we have for everybody. Well,
Yes.
I grab a surprise gift really quickly.
All right. Well, I've just dropped in the chat a link to my ebook called Donuts in the Lunchroom, and this was a book that another colleague and I co-wrote, and it's really about engaging teams through virtual events. So lots of ideas about different activities, different ways you can engage, different things to consider with regards to putting together virtual activations and events. So please follow the link and download the book. And I'm happy to share that. And yeah, it's been a fun. It was a fun journey to put the book together. Who doesn't like donuts?
That's awesome, Kimberly. Thank you so much for that. And for anybody who is watching this, sorry if you've already said that, but my gift was just out of reach. It is creativetwist.ca /e-book, creativetwist.ca /e.book. And I am going to bring up our fun little wheel of names. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. So I have everybody's names who is in our event right now. And first, what I am going to give away is we have a lovely Remo tote bag for a lucky winner. So if you are like me in California and you need to have a shopping bag everywhere you go because we charge for bags. So our first winner of the bag, we're going to click our wheel of names of everyone who is in here, and the bag is going to go to the lovely Miss Pam Williams. So I know you are here in California with me as well. So you have a new shopping bag. Pam, awesome. I will connect with you just right after this. And then we also have a second prize is a Remo. So you need to be in the US or Canada to win this one. So if you win and you're not, then I'll send you a tote bag too. But it is a happy little multi USB charger that you can put in the Remo charger. So our second winner is going to be Sue. Sue Sutcliffe, I know that you are in Canada, awesome. so you will be able to use that as well. So thank you guys so very much. We really appreciate you being here. If you have any questions at all, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We are going to go down to conversation mode and have a little bit of networking. You can ask us specific questions. We do have a couple of whiteboards that are set up because I saved this event from our whiteboard class a couple weeks ago. So there is a gamification whiteboard table. If you want to check that out about how we embedded it, I will go in and rename that table so you can kind of see what we're talking about with that. And then if you join us next Monday here at Remo, we will be having our Success Labs class. Every single Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific, we have Success Labs where we talk about a topic related to virtual events. And then we have a lot of Q&A afterwards. And we just discuss like things like we're talking about now. So this masterclass came out of a Success Labs discussion where we said, that's a great idea. Let's share it with the world, Kimberly. So again, thank you guys all for coming. We really, really appreciate it. If you are new to Remo and interested in more information, please see myself, or you can see Barry or Amy after this presentation when we go down into conversation mode. So you can ask any of us questions specifically about Remo itself if you'd like. And we really, really appreciate you being here. Kim, thank you so much as always. It's a pleasure.
Oh, thanks so much, Katrina. It was super fun, and bouncing ideas off you. You're also such a great creative and resource for ideas and information on how to engage in virtual and make these events fantastic.
I really appreciate that. And you can also find myself and you can find Kimberly in the community, the Remo Revolution community, remo-revolution.mn.co. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to play us out with a little bit of our happy little applause music. Thank you
Yay.
guys all for coming. And we will see you down in conversation mode.
And thanks, Ashley, for your help.
Thank you, Ashley.